In an era of increasing demographic diversity, many Western nations grapple with how to classify and manage racial identities in policy, census data, and social programs. Current systems, particularly in the United States, rely on self-identification, broad categorical checkboxes, and anti-discrimination laws that prioritize inclusion over precision. These approaches, rooted in post-1960s civil rights reforms, aim to promote equality but often obscure biological and cultural realities, leading to inconsistencies, policy failures, and unintended social tensions. A critical examination reveals that these systems are inadequate for addressing persistent disparities in crime, economic outcomes, and social cohesion, necessitating a more rigorous, evidence-based framework for racial identification. Historical context underscores the shift. Prior to the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act, U.S. policy favored European immigrants through national origins quotas, maintaining a predominantly white population with low crime rates and high industrial productivity. This homogeneity correlated with societal stability. The 1965 reforms, however, opened borders to non-European migration, transforming the demographic landscape. Today, non-white populations approach 40% of the U.S. total, accompanied by debates over affirmative action, disparate impact laws, and identity politics. Critics argue that self-reported racial categories, such as Hispanic as an ethnicity separate from race, or multiracial options, dilute accuracy and enable gaming of benefits systems. One major flaw is the lack of objective verification. Self-identification allows individuals to claim minority status for advantages in education, employment, or government contracts, sometimes fraudulently. High-profile cases, like academics or activists misrepresenting their heritage, highlight this vulnerability. Moreover, official statistics often misclassify offenders. For instance, many Hispanic perpetrators are categorized as white in crime data, inflating white crime rates while underreporting others. This distorts public understanding of patterns in violent crime, where interracial disparities are significant. Studies, including FBI uniform crime reports analyzed by independent researchers, show stark differences in rates of serious offenses across racial groups, even after controlling for socioeconomic factors. Ignoring these biological and cultural correlates hinders effective policymaking on public safety. Comparisons with other nations illustrate alternative approaches. Japan maintains over 98% ethnic homogeneity through strict family registries, koseki, and immigration controls, resulting in exceptionally low crime and high social trust. Singapore employs ethnic quotas in housing to prevent enclave formation and preserve a Chinese majority, balancing diversity with dominance. In contrast, nations like Zimbabwe and Uganda, after expelling minority white or Asian populations, experienced sharp economic declines, agricultural output plummeting due to loss of expertise. These examples suggest that abrupt, vengeance-driven expulsions fail, but carefully managed homogeneity can sustain prosperity. Current Western systems also struggle with mixed-race individuals. The growing multiracial population complicates checkboxes, leading to arbitrary assignments. Forensic anthropology and commercial DNA testing demonstrate that continental ancestries cluster reliably. Traits like skull shape, hair texture, and skin pigmentation align with genetic markers. Ancestry tests achieve high accuracy in assigning broad origins, African, European, Asian, yet public policy rarely leverages this for verification, fearing accusations of discrimination. A reformed system could address these issues through tiered, asymmetrical identification. Initial screening might use visual and phenotypic cues, skin tone, facial structure, hair type, for broad categorization, achieving high preliminary accuracy without burdening obvious majority group members. Documentation checks, similar to enhanced E-Verify, would verify birth records and residency. For contested cases, voluntary or mandated DNA analysis could quantify admixture, setting thresholds for inclusion, e.g., majority European ancestry for conditional acceptance in historically white nations. This asymmetry protects core populations from undue scrutiny while applying rigor to outliers. Removal or relocation protocols, if needed, should be graduated and nonviolent. Incentives for voluntary departure, asset liquidation to fund relocation, and legal enforcement as a last resort. Private initiatives, gated communities, heritage schools, or cultural associations could pioneer these standards, building parallel institutions until broader adoption. Constitutional amendments might replace blanket equal protection with clauses affirming group preservation rights, akin to indigenous protections in some countries. Critics will decry this as discriminatory, echoing debates over profiling. Yet profiling based on statistical risk is routine in insurance, security, and medicine. Racial differences in outcomes are not mere social constructs but reflect immutable genetic variances in behavior, intelligence, and physiology, as evidenced by twin studies and global IQ distributions. Denying this perpetuates failed policies, exposing vulnerable groups, like children, to elevated risks from disparate crime patterns. Ultimately, a precise identification system serves self-preservation, a fundamental right of any people. White majority nations, facing projected minority status by mid-century, risk cultural erosion and safety declines without action. Reforming classification isn't about supremacy but survival, restoring high-trust societies where heritage is celebrated through genealogical displays and community bonds. By grounding policy in biological reality rather than ideological equality, nations can achieve sustainable homogeneity, protecting future generations from the pitfalls of unchecked diversity. This critique draws on observable disparities and historical precedents, urging a departure from feel-good integration toward pragmatic preservation. Without reform, current flaws will only deepen divisions.